Welcome to Google Weekly.
Welcome, my name is Bjorn Berendt, and this is the Google Weekly Podcast, which is part of the AskBG.net network of EdTech services. Never stop learning. This is Episode 7, Chrome in Second and Link Only, recorded December 12th, 2011. Welcome, everybody, this week. Christmas is coming up, and Hanukkah is around the corner there, too, if you're Jewish, which half of my family is. So, hi family, because I know you're listening. What I want to talk about, what's new in Google. Before I get into that, I want to talk about what's new on my website. I have a mobile app, compliments of the Conduit website, which allows me to make free apps. You can now add an app to any Android device. The developer cost for the Apple devices was a little bit more than I could afford at this time, so if you own an Apple device and would like the Google Weekly mobile app on your phone, you can either do it for free by subscribing to the RSS, or if you want the actual app, please donate. It costs about $100 to get it posted up there. Google was considerably cheaper at $25, so it's up on the Android market, but not the Apple market. The other thing about it is I got it all posted, I got it all working, and it is working on my phone, and I have like 11 people that have downloaded already, so thank you everybody who has downloaded this. The only catch to it is I got an email from Conduit saying that, hey, you're in violation of some copyright, whether it be images or text. I'm guessing it has something to do with the actual Google in the Google Weekly name. I'm guessing they don't like that. I have an email out there. The worst comes to worst, I do plan on publishing the app. It may be renamed. Wait and find out what Conduit says. But if you go to the Android market right now, you can go in and say search for Google Weekly Podcast, and I show up. You can download it. Hopefully it will be updated with the new show. Like I said, I will let you guys know how that turns out. I'm still waiting back for the email. Okay, this is Episode 7, and what's new in Google? Well, they have a couple new things. One, there's a nice article on e-commerce times, and this was posted on the 1st of the month, and apparently Chrome wins silver in the worldwide browser share. And this probably depends on which bit of data you're going with, but according to this, it has surpassed Mozilla Firefox for the number 2 position for browsers. So way to go, Chrome. I know I use it. I know it's on all the computers here. I like it better. It's easier to use. Is it hitting into the IE market, knocking off Internet Explorer? Not quite there yet. Internet Explorer is still the beast that it is. But I think that's just because most people don't even know to use something different and will deal with all the annoyances that come along with it. So Chrome's in number 2. Go ahead and download it. It's a great browser, great alternative. If you're using Internet Explorer, I highly suggest going to Google's website and clicking the big Chrome and download button. What else is new? There's more Google Plus integration into the Gmail account. Things that you can do. I turned this on by accident. I don't know how to turn it off, and actually this has been a good thing. One of the first things you can do is chat now. You can add chat to anybody that's in your circles. And I turned this on, and I wound up talking with somebody, I think it was Nepal. If you're listening to the show, I'm sorry if I get your other place. I have it written down. But, he was going around and looking for somebody to have chat with the students, and I happened to be on, and got to talking with him. And so hopefully with the one of the new jobs that I'm working at soon, we'll be able to connect with another country from Vermont to I should have planned a little bit better for this conversation in the show, but for another country. So it's bridging countries. Other things you can do. So you can add people from your email. So if you're emailing out to somebody and you roll over the context, there's a now add to circle button. There is another feature out there that I think is going to be kind of interesting. Filter by circles. So if you're in your email one of the things you can do is you can filter by circles. So let's say you have a math department circle in Google+. This is only going to apply to universities, considering it is not allowed to be in K-12s yet. I tried. It didn't work. They said no. Or if you're in a business, you can kind of say, I'm in this department, and you can filter by circle. So you can see only the emails in your circle. I thought this was a really cool thing, because now, you've used to be able to filter by a person, and sometimes you can say, I want to see by, you can tag it with a certain item. But this actually says, here's this group of people that I converse about, or here's this group of people that I'm conversing about this one subject, and I can limited my email to just seeing that group of people. So out of the features for the Google Plus integration, I think that's going to be one of my more favorite ones to use. I'm still looking for it. Can't say I work at a K-12 school or work at a high school, and Google Plus is not allowed to go to high schools yet, so I can't really talk about that, and it's one of the disadvantages so far. I'm really looking forward to having it, even if I'm not using it with my students, but I understand that there is some security things that Google is working out, and they want to make sure that your data is safe. One of the holdups into the K-12 system for Google Plus is that it uses your Google profile, which is a public profile, and with especially with the education account of Google, it basically says, okay, the school is kind of responsible for it, but you can have third graders in there, and yes, it can be shut off by the administrator, but that means Google is relying on administrators to shut it off to students who aren't of 18 years of old. So basically shut it off to all students. And they're a little worried about that. They just don't want those random Google Apps administrators to be turning this on and then have really young kids, third graders, fourth graders with public profiles and posting and not realizing it. Or even high schoolers for that matter. It's just there's a big security thing that they want to work out, and it's mostly policy based, but it's there. I can see it. I can see the plus button, so hopefully it'll come on soon. What else is new? Changes in calendar settings. Okay, there has been some changes that Google has made to the embedded secondary calendar or resource calendar. So if you have a secondary calendar or a resource calendar posted on a Google site somewhere, there is now some settings that the Google Apps administrator needs to change so those can be visible to the public. That's if you're running into a problem, and I guess your administrator can go to settings, then calendar, then sharing options, and check those off. I actually haven't done it yet, so I can't say what you're going to see when you get there, but it's there. If you're running into issues, please go check that. That has been a recent change. Last thing in the what's new in Google is they've actually set up something where you can try out at least Google presentations, and actually had a bunch of the other ones in there. I think it had the spreadsheet, it had the docs, and had basically all the core suite in there, where you can try out the Google products without having a username. This is going to be good for selling it to people. What you can do is you can go to docs.google.com/demo. And once you go there, and it'll bring you straight into the presentation viewer. And it has a template presentation. These are not ones that you can save, but it does allow you to send out a link. So you not only can edit the document and play with it, you can actually do it collaboratively without a username. And like I said, I think it just doesn't allow sharing, doesn't allow saving. So it goes through, and you can add slides, play with it, add text, use the editor exactly as you would. You can go over to click on documents here, and it has a document that you can go through and edit and just start typing in and seeing all the tools. Same with drawings and spreadsheets. So that's going to be a really cool way, especially for those schools that don't have it yet, that you're trying to convince it. or those teachers you're just trying to show to, here's a great way to go in and say, hey, look what you can do. This looks like Microsoft Office. This looks like all these tools. Okay, that covers the what's new in Google. I'm sure there's other things, but those are the ones I'm highlighting. And let me kind of close off the little pages here. I get too much open. Close. What's current in Google? I want to talk about what's current in Google. And I was downstairs actually today working with our principal, and he was working on a document, and he has mentioned several times that he loves Google Docs. It's one of those tools that he found he can work at home, he can work at school, he can work with other people, and it just automatically updates. He's not sending out emails back and forth. But we are a school, and we do work with outside companies. And, we have our board, which does have accounts, but it doesn't mean they're not necessarily in the school, so they're not always using them. And we're working on this one grant, and he needed to send it out to somebody to edit who is, associated with the school, but community-wise. And they are in the system, but they were never really logged in. So I suggested, well, for this one person, why don't you send it link only and make it editable? And he didn't know what I was talking about at first. So I thought this would be a good what's current in Google is to show off this feature. So under the share settings, if you go to share, and you can share it with different people, but the very top axis says who has access, and it says private only for people listed below. There's a change button. You can change that. And depending on whether you are in the Education Edition or whether you're in the standard @Gmail edition, you'll get a little bit different choices in here. But the top two will stay the same. It has public on the web and anybody with a link. If you choose public on the web, this is kind of exactly like a website. This means search engines can find it, whether you're on Yahoo, and it'll get picked up and all those other things. So that's for a public document. And then it says anyone with a link. This creates a unique link that you can send out in an email to someone who doesn't have a Gmail account or a Google account. This kind of goes back to the demo one. I thought it was a good correlation there. So anybody with a link. And be careful, because if you post that link publicly on a website, then a crawler could find it and a search engine could find it. So it's safer for this one to keep it with an email, especially if you don't want any search engines happening to find this. Also keep in mind that it's anybody with a link. So if you send this out to somebody and they forward it on to somebody else and they forward it on to somebody else and someone else posts it on Twitter, it's public. And anybody can do it unless that's what you're looking for. Anyone with a link or public on the web. The other thing you can do with these things is you can choose what they can do. So for the principal, I said, okay, make it anybody with a link. And then under access, which is at the bottom of the page there, you can choose whether they can edit it, whether it can just add comments, or view. View being the default. For this one document, because the other person needed to edit it, I said, well, why don't you change it anybody with a link can edit? And, after he figured that one out, he's like, oh, this is cool. And I said, well, you can also do comments. So if you're doing it with a student, maybe you want to just share it so they can make comments. So maybe anybody with a link, a student create a document, anybody with a link, and then you can share it with the rest of the class just using the link and say comment only, so that students can actually comment on other students' work, but not actually change the authentic work. So can edit, can comment, can view. So I'm going to just click edit, and I'm going to click save. And you get right above who has access, you'll now have a big long link that you can send out there, and you can right click on that and say copy. And that's a link you can add to pretty much any document if you're sending it out through email or any other method, go right ahead and do that. One of the other things, this is a big long link. Sometimes it's I use it a lot where anybody can edit, and I'm doing a presentation to a group of teachers. I did this at the Vermont Fest conference very recently, or through a webinar. And I want the people viewing this to be able to click the link. So that's where a URL shortener comes into play. So if you take that big long link that you copied and then go to, well, this is a Google podcast, so it's goo.gl is a URL shortener for Google. And it basically looks right here and it says paste, and you paste the big long link and you say shorten, and all of a sudden the link is shortened to, for me it's http://goo.gl/ M6P1M. Actually, you could go straight to that. That's going to be live. Actually, I think I'm going to probably take off this because this is my show notes, the one I just linked to you. But basically, you give people that really shortened link, and they can go edit your document and use it without the accounts. All the edits will show up anonymously, but it's still a great way to get all the information and a great way to share the information. Moving on, let's get into the app exploration portion of the show, and a couple of apps that I thought were really cool. For the marketplace, for the app marketplace, this is the one by the administrator has to enable. There's one out there called EasyBib, which is a bibliography creating software. And I actually had this thing on for a while in my school. I haven't really told my teachers about it. So if any of my teachers are listening to this, please click more and EasyBib. It's enabled. Not only searching for bibliographies, but creating bibliographies. So there are several little widgets on the top here. One being bibliography, and this is kind of straightforward. It has the word website, book, newspaper, journal, database, plus a few other ones. You can kind of hear the ad going on in the background there as I'm looking at the website while I'm recording. But this adds a nice little way where you can paste the website in, and it brings up all the little authors and things you need to fill out. I think it had the ways that you can set it up is MLA 6, MLA 7, APA, Chicago Turbine. Like I said, it has website, book, newspaper, journal, database. It has 58 options in total of things that you can do, whether it be an email, a map. So a lot of great ways of bringing it all together and seeing how you can create it. For me, I used to have the old book. It had an apple on it, and you had to flip through. Now, once you have your bibliography all settled up, this is one of the things I really liked about this program. You can print it out or save it as a Word document. You can also save it straight to Google Docs from with this. So it had some nice Google Docs integration where you can go straight into Google Docs. Once you had this, share it with your teacher, add it to your document. There you go. So especially for students, if any of the students are listening, which I know some of the students have found my podcast, please check it out. It's EasyBib. It's still in your Google Docs too. Now, the other thing that I thought was really nice about this one that made this thing stand out was that you could also research. So not only could I use it to create my bibliography, I could use it to find relevant data. So there's a tab called Research, and if I type Civil War and hit Enter, the very first thing up here, it has the U.S. Civil War, 1861 to 1865. There's a website, and this says it's been cited 513 times. And on the right-hand side, it actually puts out a little checkbox that says credible. And so I can actually click on this, and I can see if it's a relevant resource. I can quickly click Cite It, and it automatically cites it. So this is a great way of actually getting information. I think this is probably the better part of the tool where you can now use it for research and finding relevant data, which is probably one of the hardest things to do on the web because just searching in Google is not necessarily the best way to find relevant data. But using this EasyBib search and searching other cited resources that have been deemed credible is a great way to get relevant data, especially toward your topic. Moving on, the next one is from the Chrome website. So Chrome has moved into number 2 slot, beating out Firefox. So why not? And one of the reasons probably has to be its app store. So we had the Chrome Web Store. And to be honest, what this came about because we stopped using Netflix at home. It was nice for my daughter, had a lot of great kids shows. So we've been looking for other kids TV shows that my daughter can watch as a special treat on the computer for her, basically as a special treat on her computer. I think non-school nights, she's 4.5, she can go onto the computer and I allow her to watch a movie or something before bed. So I've been looking for alternatives since we dropped Netflix. And one of the ones I found was Kido'z TV, KIDO''Z TV. Now, the Kido'z TV, I thought it was really good. It had basically some well-organized links on. My daughter liked being able to pick the channels that she wanted and whether she wanted science. So a lot of educational videos. It's a little misleading because they have a whole movie section. I'm like, oh, great, I can actually put some movies on. But they're all movie trailers. They're all YouTube videos. They will play straight through. So I put it up there and I put it on the science one. I hit play and she watched a bunch of the science videos. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing how well this updates and whether it will be updated regularly or whether what I saw is what I get. Kind of hoping it's going to be updated a little bit more regularly. It seemed like a great format for my daughter. So check that out. Great educational videos on that one, on the Kido'z TV. And I think that's going to conclude the show for today. Thank you for listening to the Google Weekly Podcast with your host, Bjorn Berendt. You can follow the podcast and contribute by going to www.google-weekly.net. On there, you'll find a mobile app, which, again, warning, it may be changing. I don't know. I'm still waiting to find out from Conduit what they say. You can use the Twitter hashtag GWPodcast. You can join by using the Google group, which we'll send out to everybody, kind of using that as the replacement of the forums. You can also via email. If you do via email, remember it sends you a confirmation email that you must click to be able to get future show releases. Before I get off, there's one other thing I want to kind of mention. On my parent website, askbj.net, I am hosting a, let's see, what's it, blah, blah, blah. I think blub, blub, blub is probably going to be my little coin term here. But I am hosting a webinar on Thursday the 15th. It's going to be 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. That's 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, 2:30 Central, 1:30 Mountain, 12:30 Pacific. It's going to be on learning strategies and problem-based learning. So if you want to sign up for that, just go to www.askbj.net. You'll see the calendar under my picture there. And a big register now. I have a few seats open for that. So again, thank you for listening to the Google Weekly Podcast with your host, Bjorn Berendt, and never stop learning.
This is Torrance, and thank you for listening.